The fiscal environment demands of us to do more with less and to be prudent in our spending. The department will prioritize increasing access in terms of its priorities to justice, the continued implementation of the TRC report as adopted by Parliament, the turnaround of the master's offices, improved state litigation, the fight against gender-based violence and femicide, fighting fraud and corruption, acceleration of transformation of legal sector, operationalization of the traditional courts, and review of all apartheid laws. Honorable members, I have the pleasure as a Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development to table budget vote number 25 for your approval. Thank you very much.
The next speaker will be from Bosa, Honorable Maimane.
I think all of us as South Africans have been treated quite extensively by the revelations that General Mkhwanazi raises. The old dictum that says innocent until proven guilty. I want to in this instance make it clear that we believe General Mkhwanazi until he's been proven to be dishonest. And that requires a process of thorough investigation. What General Mkhwanazi is stating is the feeling that we all have. That the fact of the matter is that your probability of finding a conviction after having convicted a murder is 1 in 5. For rape, that number becomes even less. This is something that is deeply worrying. General Mkhwanazi confirms for all of us what we've all felt, that state capture has not quite stopped. That it is something that is continuing and we all feel it in our day-to-day lived experiences. General Mkhwanazi tells us that we are fast shifting away from the rule of law to the rule of man. The idea that political decisions trump, in fact, what should happen in terms of the rule of law. Honorable members, it is time for us to be deliberate and act now. We will soon be asked to declare the state capture report as wasteful and fruitless expenditure until we soon see prosecutions that must take place. So, Honorable Minister, I have a number of points I want to raise with you. In February, your ministry committed to making the National Register of Sex Offenders public. We have to see progress in this. Because in truth, for our teachers, only 7% of the nearly 500,000 educators have been screened against this. I take my kids to school, I'm sure honorable members do the same. We can't put them at such risk. For police, as of now, only 245 SAPS personnel have faced scrutiny in this regard. This is a significant risk in a country that is facing such a chronic issue of violence. Honorable Minister, you promised the whistleblowers protection and legislative reform. I'm sure we can come here today and we've got to make a commitment to expedite that issue. Because more people take their lives to risk to tell us what is going on. They need protection and they need protection from you. So I welcome the decision by Parliament to put together an investigation. The last point I want to make, Minister, is that as the end of the term of the current National Director of Public Prosecutions, let us codify into law the appointment of the next, begin now, and make sure we get a candidate who will replace applicant Atoy. Justice cannot be allowed to be subjected to the rule of men. So let's make sure we act now, fund properly, and deliver a justice system that works for all citizens.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
I now recognize Honourable Trolip.
Action SA has long advocated for the establishment of specialized corruption courts to fast-track the prosecution and conviction of corruption cases. The urgency has never been more clear, especially in light of the expose by Commissioner Mkhwanazi. The Zondo Commission recommended over 1,400 individuals, companies and government entities to be investigated for their roles in state capture. In a written reply to Action SA, the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation said only 200 recommendations have been prosecuted or prioritized. These have led to just 12 court cases, addressing only 38 of the 1,400 recommendations, a mere 2.7%. If this department and this GNU has no appetite to prosecute these cases, we do. If I can adapt and borrow from the words of William Shakespeare and Julius Caesar and say, I have not come here to praise the NPA. I've come here to expose it. The NPA has failed with the Zizi Kodwa case. The NPA collapsed the Estina Dairy case. The NPA botched the Cholota extradition in the 255 million rand asbestos case involving Ace Magashule. And they did that in spite of the fact that there was a recent Constitutional Court ruling in the Schultz matter 2 months before the extradition, where it made it clear that the minister had to authorize extradition. When the NPA were asked, did they discuss that? They said, yes, we did, but our lawyers weren't present. Aren't you all supposed to be lawyers? The Bushiri saga, also botched. He's at large 5 years later, entertaining the former SG of MKP and now president of Maibuye as a hero in Malawi. The Timothy Omotoso case, after 8 years, botched, released. The prosecutor that botched it, what has he done? He's been assigned to the Forte case, where people have been murdered, assassinated, corruption, racketeering. Not serious. Action SA will soon introduce the Zero Tolerance Corruption Bill to break the cycle of impunity in this Parliament, with mandatory minimum sentences for corruption, permanent bans for political office bearers, and convicted individuals. In China today, a civil servant, a public official, former public official, Mr. Wang Yong, was sentenced to death for accepting a 38 million rand bribe. Serious China, malunga bantu bahwapilizai. But we're not serious in this country. If we were, many people who are making laws in this Parliament wouldn't be here today. Action SA cannot support this budget until criminal legislators and members of this executive and in the ranks of the opposition are put behind bars. Thank you.
I will now recognize Honourable Souls.
Thank you very much, Honourable House Chair. The Department's Strategic Plan 2025 to 2030 includes 9 outcome statements. I want to zoom into 3. Outcome 7, fighting crime and corruption through prosecution. We support the budget, hoping that outcome 7 will be achieved when we think of the selfless life of Detective Clint Skippers from Makassar, Cape Town, who, like a real-life hero, risked his life in a shootout with 12 cash-in-transit criminals. One died, and because of him, the rest was arrested, but he walked away with 5 bullets in his back. He didn't just take a bullet for his country, he took 5 and still walks around with 2 in his back. And now, how does the justice system thank him? Instead of a promotion or a medal or even a payout, no. He rather has to pray for a way out. After he protected his family against the house-breaking attempt, a case of self-defense was changed to murder after a year. In this justice system of ours, such a hero gets arrested, thrown in jail with hardened criminals he gave 16 years of his life to arresting. We support this budget so that outcome 7 must be achieved to deal with the corruption in the system against many like Detective Clint Skippers. If not, then we cannot help but wonder, is this justice? The Justice Department received an allocation of 25.4 billion, including direct charge for magistrate salaries of 2.6 billion. We are making sure magistrates' salaries are secured, yet magistrates like Judge Morolong in Kimberley today gave an illegal immigrant who murdered 3 South African young people, Opile Jonas, Michaela Boysen and Calvino Matthews, a mere 5 years, running concurrently with 2 years suspended. Hurreal, we must ask, is this justice? Outcome 8, apartheid-era justice-related legislation reviewed and replaced, and as it relates to constitutional development, the apartheid racial classification of Khoi, San, colored, Indian, and one segment of white South Africans being legislatively considered black in general, but not African in particular, must be reviewed and totally erased. Otherwise, we must ask again, is this justice or just ice in a glass of expensive whiskey enjoyed by the deep state when they say cheers to a corrupt system they alone benefit from? PA supports. Munib Baizali, Minister. Salute.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I'll now recognize Honorable Mkhwanazi.
The National Prosecuting Authority, meant to be the cornerstone of justice, remain a sub-program under this vote. It is politically and financially tied in the same executive it must prosecute. 106 million was stripped from the investigating directorate, while cases like the Palapala, the National Lottery scandal, and the Gupta extraditions remain frozen. Just over a month ago, the National Director of Public Prosecution, Shamila Badoy, admitted on national television that the NPA is infiltrated. Instead of facing this reality, the minister rushed to defend her, saying she used the wrong word. That is not leadership, it's a coordinated cover-up. The truth is the NPA will never prosecute powerful politicians while it is funded and controlled by them. This budget keeps the NPA on a financial leash and corruption of the hook. In this same climate of protection, we must locate today's revelation. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi confirmed that the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu, solicited funding from a businessman with 3 billion in SAPS contract. Mchunu denied knowing the man, but evidence proves otherwise. Mchunu also disbanded the political killings task team in KZN and froze posts in crime intelligence. These are not blinders, they are tactics to collapse accountability. Yes, Mkhwanazi is not under this vote, but the Department of Justice is the gatekeeper to prosecution, and this budget gives it no tool to act. There's no funding for high-risk corruption cases, no whistleblower protection, no independence for the NPA. Chairperson, justice dies like this, not because of firing of bullets, but through budget that stuff the truth. There's always money to protect corruption, but nothing to prosecute it. Until Shamila Badoy leaves, we will never rest as the EFF. Thank you so much.
I will now recognize
MPs respond to legal advisor on Mkhwanazi's allegations. MPs on Tuesday raised their concerns when a parliamentary legal advisor suggested that KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi Mkhwanazi's allegations were technically not evidence. This happened when the ad hoc committee, which is mandated to investigate Mkhwanazi's allegations, met for the first time to discuss some of its preparations, such as the terms of reference and getting prisoners testify as witnesses. Responding to the questions, Parliamentary Legal Advisor Andal Tatiana said there was a draft terms of reference that could be released in 2 or 3 days to MPs for comments. Tatiana also said there was a lot of backroom legal technical support that should take place, and that witnesses would need to be identified. I am saying this with the greatest of respect. What General Mkhwanazi said on July 6, 2025 was not evidence in a technical sense. Of course, one would need a legal person to go around speaking to people who will be able to corroborate what Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi said. The committee can't do that, and, of course, you need sworn statements from witnesses drafted and so on. That is the kind of work that will take place in the next 2 to 3 weeks, he said. EFF leader Julius Malema questioned where the remark about Mkhwanazi said was not evidence came from. You can't start by saying what General Mkhwanazi said is not evidence. That is very dismissive. Right at the beginning, we are starting on the wrong footing. Please, when people are asked, especially support staff, they must not enter the terrain. They must give us technical advice and leave the rest to us, because we are not to leave here being part of a remark that says what Mkhwanazi said, not evidence, Malema said. MK Party's MP David Skosana said he was a bit disturbed by the legal team's remarks about Mkhwanazi's allegations. If they want to work with us, they should not tell us that what Mkhwanazi said is not evidence. This is disturbing. Why are we here? Are we here for gossiping? We are not here for that, Skosana said. Mkhwanazi presented, and he attached evidence in that press statement. He said before asking that the chief parliamentary legal advisor should attend their future meetings. IFP MP Albert Mkhwango said he was equally disturbed to hear that Mkhwanazi's revelations were actually not evidence. I think that was actually defeating the purpose of this session, Mkhwango said. He also raised his concerns about the absence of the chief parliamentary advisor at the meeting. This is a critical start to this process of investigation. It is very crucial that we start from a solid foundation and a solid legal foundation as well. ANC MP Zolan Kola said they preferred the chief parliamentary legal advisor deployed to the committee to assist it, given the nature of the issues they would be handling. Without sounding We don't take seriously the legal advisors that are here. They can work as a team led by the chief legal advisor, Mkhwanazi said. Committee chairperson Soviet Lekanyane described Tetiana's remarks as being subjective and pleaded with MPs not to dwell on them. He can't decide for us what is evidence and what is not evidence. It is unfortunate that it has been said here. He can't say that before we agree on the terms of reference. The terms of reference will tell us this is evidence or it is not evidence, Lekanyane said. Action SA MP Darylene James said the statement by Tetiana was out of line based on allegations made by Mkhwanazi and the office he held. James took issue that an ANC MP was elected as the committee chairperson. How do we garner public trust here this morning when we have a chairperson who has been elected from the very party where most of these people are embroiled? How does that make the public feel to know that today we have a member from the same family? Where all these people come from, she asked. This prompted the ANC and Patriotic Alliance to raise concerns that James did not use the opportunity to raise her concern when Lekanyane was elected, but the MK Party and EFF came to James' defense. ANC Chief Dumiseni Ntuli stated that the committee would discharge its responsibility consistently within the Constitution and the laws of the country. There should not be fear that because there are others who have come from this and other party, this might in any way negatively contaminate the process we are engaged in. We should get our work tested in action as opposed to what may be our own preconceived ideas with one another as we start our work, Tully said. Lekanyane said they were sworn as MPs and should act within the law in executing their responsibility. I was not sworn through the law of the ANC. There is only one law to swear in MPs, he said. It will be sheer hypocrisy on our part if there is anything we are going to do is meant to shoot down the noble intention of Parliament when it appointed this ad hoc committee, he said.